15. Nightlife in the capital city of Bratislava. Few people would expect Bratislava, the peaceful capital of Slovakia during the daytime, to take on a completely different appearance after dark. Young Europeans have even given the city a playful nickname, Partyslava. The center of all this excitement is the Old Town, where hundreds of pubs, cocktail bars, and small clubs are packed closely together along historic alleyways, creating a nightlife atmosphere that is both energetic and distinctly European. What makes the nightlife culture here especially interesting is its collection of experiences that are difficult to find anywhere else. At Alligator Crystal, for example, visitors can enjoy music and dance directly on a real boxing ring, an unexpected combination of sports and entertainment. For those looking for a more nostalgic atmosphere, Trafo Music Bar is an ideal destination. The bar is located deep in the basement of an 18th century palace, creating an environment that feels both elegant and mysterious. Bratislava's beer culture is also just as impressive as that of famous beer nations, such as Germany or the Czech Republic. Locals often spend hours talking with friends at small craft breweries known as mini pivovars, where beer is brewed and served on site. In addition to beer, people here are also proud of their traditional fruit-based spirits, especially Slovovica, a traditional plum brandy, and Borovička, a spirit distilled from juniper berries. Both are long-standing culinary symbols of Central Europe. Number 14. The extreme wealth gap between the two worlds of East and West. There is no need to look at dry statistics. Simply scrolling through social media platforms is enough to see the deep economic divide splitting this Central European country in two. The wealth gap between Eastern and Western Slovakia is clearly reflected in YouTube content, making the two regions appear like completely different worlds within the same country. Western Slovakia, centered around the capital city of Bratislava near the Austrian border, represents prosperity with a distinctly Western European character. Videos filmed here are often filled with images of modern glass buildings, busy shopping malls, and major automobile manufacturing centers. Thanks to strong investment flows, people in this region enjoy incomes that rank among the highest in the European Union, along with abundant job opportunities and a high quality of life. In contrast, the eastern region near the Ukrainian border appears quieter and somewhat left behind. Content creators often capture aging towns with few major factories and limited employment opportunities. Incomes here are much lower than in the capital, forcing many young workers to leave their hometowns and move westward or travel to neighboring countries to earn a living and send money back to support their families. The sharp contrast between glamorous million-view videos from the West and somber documentary footage from the East exposes a harsh reality. Behind Europe's broader integration, Slovakia is still struggling to narrow the gap within a country that seems to have one nation, two destinies. Number 13. The Goral people, the mysterious mountain warriors of the Tatra Mountains. Hidden among cloud-covered peaks is the homeland of the Goral people, a community often described as the warriors of the mountains. From the very first moment, you can tell that they are different. The men wear thick wool coats, wide leather belts, and black hats decorated with seashells, while carrying a siupaga, a small axe that has been a symbol of the Goral people for centuries. Against the dramatic mountain scenery, they look like characters who have stepped straight out of an epic movie. What is especially interesting is that the longer you speak with them, the more it feels as though you are hearing a foreign language. The Goral dialect blends Slovak, Polish, and traces of several Carpathian ethnic languages, to the point that even many Slovaks cannot fully understand it. But to truly understand the Goral people, you must stay until the music begins. During mountain festivals, young men hold their chupaga axes, stomp forcefully on the ground, and spin to the rhythm of violins and folk songs. Every movement recreates the lives of shepherds, hunters, and even the legend of Juraj Janošík, the Robin Hood of Central Europe, who became a symbol of resistance and independence in this region. Perhaps what visitors remember most is not the majestic Tatra Mountains, but the feeling of sitting inside a wooden house, listening to music echo through the valley, and watching people who still wear the clothing of their ancestors and preserve a way of life that has existed for hundreds of years. Just one afternoon in a Goral village is enough to make you feel as though you have traveled back in time to a Europe that has almost disappeared. Number 12. hunting for Soviet-era antiques in the heart of Bratislava. If you enjoy collecting antiques or are simply curious about a piece of Eastern European history, Bratislava is a destination you should not miss on weekends. The city has a regular network of second-hand markets, commonly known as bazaars or burzas, where countless items from the Soviet era and former Czechoslovakia are displayed for sale. The most famous among them is Burza Blaszak, a flea market that has been operating since 2015 and offers everything from clothing, books, and toys to antiques and handmade crafts. Przyszporski Bazaar is also a familiar name among collectors. It originally began near Devon Castle, before later moving to the Old Market Hall in the city center, where it specializes in unique antiques that are difficult to find elsewhere. In addition, the Blaszak Market at Interstadium is another popular destination, taking place every Friday and Sunday. As you walk through these markets, it is easy to come across military badges, vintage mechanical cameras, Soviet-made wristwatches, and household items with a strong Eastern European retro style. Many are sold at very affordable prices, with some costing only a few euros. For many visitors, this is more than an ordinary shopping trip. It feels like traveling back in time and touching fragments of memory from a turbulent chapter in Eastern European history. Number 11. Luník 9, the largest slum in Central Europe. Despite the material hardships, life in Luník 9 is filled with a lively sense of community in the streets. Because homes are cramped and often lack reliable electricity and running water, everyday activities from doing laundry and chatting to children playing take place in shared courtyards or on the steps of apartment buildings. Residents strengthen their neighborhood bonds through genuine sharing, and children can freely run over to a neighbor's home to enjoy a simple meal together. Music is an essential part of Roma culture. The sounds of guitars, folk songs, and traditional dances often fill family gatherings and festivals. For many people, music is not only a source of joy, but also a way to preserve their cultural identity and find strength amid a life that still involves many difficulties. One bright spot in this neighborhood is the church and community center run by the Salesians, where children can learn to read and write, study music, play sports, and receive support from volunteers. For many families, this is a place where hope is planted, giving children more opportunities to change their future. Perhaps Luník 9 tells more than just a story of poverty. It also reveals the strength of community and the determination to rise above even the harshest circumstances. What do you think is more important for transforming a community? Education or job opportunities? Share your opinion in the comments. Number 10. The Water Splashing Festival and Strange Customs Found Only in Slovakia. During Slovakia's major holidays, travelers may sometimes be astonished by ancient and deeply contradictory traditions, where the boundary between a beautiful cultural heritage and a controversial prank becomes more fragile than ever. On Easter Monday, Slovak women from young girls to homemakers must face a strange challenge from the men in their families or the young men of their villages. The young men carry buckets of ice-cold well water, or may even drag the women to a nearby stream and pour water directly over them. In modern cities, the ritual has been softened and may involve spraying perfume or sprinkling only a little water. However, in rural areas and traditional folk villages, having an entire bucket of freezing water dumped over someone remains very common. Instead of becoming angry or calling the police, Slovak women smile, say thank you, and give gifts to the men who splashed and struck them. These gifts often include beautifully hand-painted Easter eggs known as kraslice, cakes, cash, or a glass of strong palinka liquor. Although the tradition is wrapped in the symbolic meaning of wishing women youthfulness and vitality, the water-splashing custom is now facing a serious test from the modern world. People are beginning to question whether they should preserve a centuries-old practice or listen to the voices of those who feel hurt by it. Number 9. Slovakia, the land of castles. If you are fascinated by medieval stories filled with knights and ancient castles, Slovakia is a dream destination. Based on the number of castles per person and per square mile of territory, this Central European country has one of the highest concentrations of castles in the world, with more than 180 historic castles and 425 manor houses scattered across the nation. What does that mean? In Slovakia, you do not necessarily need to buy a ticket or plan a long journey to see a castle. Simply look out the window of a bus or train, or take a leisurely drive through the countryside, and every few dozen minutes, another pointed tower or ancient stone wall may appear before your eyes. They are everywhere, standing high on dramatic cliffs above the Danube River, hidden deep within the endless pine forests of the Tatra Mountains, or resting peacefully in the heart of small towns. The most striking and overwhelming of them all is Spiš Castle. This is not simply a single building, but a massive stone fortress complex covering more than 10 acres, making it one of the largest castle sites in Central Europe. Standing beneath the ruined yet majestic walls of Spiš as they stretch across the hillsides, you can feel how small human beings are compared with the passage of time. It is almost as though you have stepped directly into an epic movie about the distant medieval past. Given the opportunity to visit this country, would you choose a romantic fairy tale castle like Božnice or a powerful epic fortress like Spiš? Let me know your choice in the comments. Number 8. Renting an entire historic castle for a wedding. In England or France, holding a wedding on the grounds of a historic castle is often a privilege reserved for the wealthy, with venue rental costs reaching tens of thousands of dollars. In Slovakia, however, that dream is far more accessible. One outstanding example is Božnice Castle, a Gothic Renaissance landmark considered one of the most romantic symbols of the country. Its ceremony room, known as the Golden Hall, features a ceiling carved from pinewood and covered in gold, with 183 angelic faces looking down from above. According to information published by the castle itself, couples can rent the Golden Hall for a civil wedding ceremony starting at only about €420, an almost unbelievable price compared with renting similar castles in Western Europe. Even when couples choose complete wedding packages at Božnice through professional event companies, the total cost is usually only around €1,800 to €2,000 for the ceremony and reception, including decorations, a vintage horse-drawn carriage, and related services. Božnice is not the only option. Slovakia also has many other historic castles and manor houses available as wedding venues at relatively affordable prices, including Orava Castle, with its dramatic mountain scenery, and the 700-year-old Červený Kamen Castle in the Carpathian Mountains. This combination of historic architecture, romantic natural surroundings, and reasonable prices has made Slovakia an increasingly popular destination for foreign couples seeking a fairy tale wedding without needing a royal budget. Number 7. Slovakia's surprisingly affordable cost of living. One reason Slovakia is becoming increasingly attractive to foreigners who want to live and work there is its relatively affordable cost of living compared with much of Europe. More specifically, a single person needs an average of about $840 per month for basic expenses, such as food, transportation, and daily necessities, not including rent. For a family of 4, that figure rises to around $2,850 per month. Renting a one-bedroom apartment in a city center costs about $745, while moving to the suburbs can reduce that expense to approximately $580, a difference worth considering for anyone trying to manage their budget. When it comes to food, a meal at an inexpensive restaurant costs only around $9, while a 3-course dinner for 2 at a mid-range restaurant costs about $52. These prices are considered fairly reasonable compared with major Western European cities such as Paris or London. However, there is one important point to remember. Affordable prices do not mean that everyone has plenty of money. The average monthly net salary in Slovakia is currently only around $1,335. This means that although the cost of living is lower than in many Western European countries, it is still closely matched to the income of most local residents. In other words, it is a balanceonot, a promised land where everyone can easily live a prosperous life. Number 6. Name Day, or meniny, a second birthday. In addition to an ordinary birthday, Slovaks also celebrate a very special occasion known as meniny, or name day. It is connected to the traditional Catholic calendar, in which every day of the year is assigned a specific name. What makes this custom interesting is that when the date matching a person's name arrives, that person receives congratulations, small gifts, and sometimes even a cake from friends, co-workers, and casual acquaintances. The atmosphere is much like having a second birthday. In many offices and schools, meniny becomes an opportunity for everyone to celebrate together and share candy or cake during the workday. This tradition is more than a simple form of entertainment. It also reflects something deeper in Central European spiritual and social life: the importance of community bonds and the desire to create more opportunities for people to care about one another amid the busy pace of modern life. Number 5. A culture of record-long parental leave. One thing that makes many parents around the world admire Slovakia is its maternity and childcare leave policy, which is among the most generous in the world. Under current regulations, Slovak women are entitled to 34 weeks of maternity leave while receiving up to 75 fun-trum of their income through the social insurance system. This rises to 37 weeks for single mothers, and as many as 43 weeks for mothers giving birth to twins or triplets. But the most remarkable part comes afterward. Once maternity leave ends, either parent in Slovakia has the legal right to continue taking parental leave, with their job protected, until the child turns 3 years old. This can be extended until the age of 6 if the child has special health needs. Throughout this period, the family continues to receive a monthly child care allowance from the government. Interestingly, this policy is not limited to women. Slovak law allows fathers to take over the caregiving role from the mother, with leave lasting up to 28 weeks, or 31 weeks if the father is a single parent. Behind these policy numbers is a much deeper cultural value system. In Slovakia, motherhood is not viewed simply as a personal responsibility. It is also seen by society and the state as a role that deserves protection and recognition through concrete policies, something that not every developed country has achieved, including leading economies such as the United States, which still has no federal law requiring paid maternity. Number 4. Kroj clothing, the Slovak men's midriff-baring shirt. When visiting the Detva region of Slovakia, you may be surprised by the traditional clothing worn by local men. A hand-embroidered shirt cut short at the chest, leaving the stomach completely exposed. In the past, when hunger and hardship were common, a fuller body and a round belly were considered signs of prosperity and a well-fed household. This short shirt was deliberately designed to display that prosperity to the community. The outfit also includes practical details shaped by the lives of highland laborers. A wide leather belt wraps tightly from the hips to the ribs, helping support the spine of woodcutters and shepherds carrying heavy loads, while also serving as a pouch for a dagger and smoking pipe. The wide-legged linen pants resemble a skirt, allowing greater freedom of movement on steep mountain slopes and flowing dramatically during folk dances at village festivals. Kroj clothing is proof that the creativity of earlier generations was always rooted in the realities of labor and in an optimistic spirit that rose above difficult circumstances. Number 3. A journey through 5 destinations' unmissable wonders. Beyond the usual tourist trails lies a wild, majestic, and mesmerizing side of Central Europe, waiting to be awakened by adventurous travelers. The journey begins with a breathtaking experience on the solitary cliff of Tomaszowski Výhlad, where you stand on an unfenced limestone terrace 479 feet above the ground, taking in sweeping views of the Slovak paradise wilderness and the rushing Hornad River below. Continuing higher into the Tatra mountains, you will be amazed by the ancient glacial lake of Morski Oko, a magical living creature whose water changes from jade green and emerald to deep blue with the seasons. Leaving the high mountains behind, the journey takes you to witness the wonder of the Hurliny cold water geyser, where carbon dioxide pressure launches a column of cold mineral water nearly 49 feet into the sky, like a champagne bottle popping open every 32 to 36 hours. The journey becomes quieter and more reflective, with a visit to the nearly deserted ancient village of Vlekolinica, peaceful medieval valley filled with wooden houses, built without iron nails, and now home to fewer than 20 residents. Finally, the trip ends at the golden heart of Banska Štiavnica, an ancient town nestled entirely inside the crater of an extinct volcano. Once a celebrated mining center of Europe, it became known as the place where explosives were first used to break rock, and for its magnificent system of artificial lakes, known as the Taji, which were constructed entirely by hand. These rapidly changing experiences, from breathless excitement and amazement to quiet reflection, are exactly why anyone who wanders into this land, even once, is destined to leave a piece of their soul behind in the vast wilderness of Central Europe. Number 2. A journey through 5 festivals. The spirit of the wilderness. The vibrant spirit of Central Europe awakens in March with the ritual of driving away Morena, the goddess of winter. Dressed in traditional kroj clothing, young men and women carry a straw effigy around the village before setting it on fire and throwing it into a rushing river to banish the freezing cold. They then run home as fast as they can to welcome the arrival of spring. Summer erupts in July at the Východná folklore festival beneath the majestic Tatra mountains. Inside an open-air theater, visitors become immersed in the stirring sounds of violins, the unique tones of the long fujara flute, and passionate dances, accompanied by glasses of honey wine that continue deep into the night. When the winter cold arrives on December 6, St. Nicholas Day brings excitement to children at dawn. They rush to the doorstep to check their boots. Well-behaved children find them filled with candy from St. Nicholas, while mischievous children may burst into tears after receiving a lump of black coal from the devil chert. The cycle of the seasons closes with the wild Fascianghi carnival before Lent. Men dress as shaggy monsters and roam through every street and alley wearing loudly clanging cowbells to drive away evil spirits. The ritual creates a lively street celebration filled with fatty meats and strong palinka liquor. In this way, traditions passed down over thousands of years continue like a thread binding the past to the present, turning this land into a living museum of emotion where both joy and ancient fear become part of an endless festival song. Number 1. Cuisine. An explosion of flavor and cultural shocks. As you travel through the ancient villages and peaceful valleys of Central Europe, let your sense of smell guide you into a mesmerizing culinary world, one where rich, powerful flavors are ready to conquer even the most sophisticated diners. From a creamy plate of gnocchi on an ordinary weekday to a steaming ladle of Christmas soup, each dish does far more than simply fill the stomach. It is also a living cultural map, allowing diners to fully experience the free-spirited and proud character of the people who call this land home. Central European cuisine is an explosive journey of flavors filled with unforgettable, authentic tastes. It begins with bryndzové halušky, the beloved national dish of potato gnocchi. The soft pieces of dough are mixed with rich Brindza sheep's milk cheese, known for its slightly sour and distinctively sharp flavor, before being topped with a fragrant layer of crispy bacon pieces. Next comes kapustnica, a traditional Christmas soup that warms people during the winter. Its flavor is an exciting combination of the light sourness of fermented cabbage and the deep sweetness of smoked sausage, pork, wild mushrooms, and dried plums. Finally, there is the rich goulash soup, uniquely served inside a hollowed-out round loaf of bread. Beef or venison is slowly cooked for hours with bright red paprika, garlic, and thyme, creating a thick, velvety sauce. Diners can sip the soup while tearing off pieces of the flavor-soaked bread crust to enjoy along with. We have just explored the beautiful and fascinating country of Slovakia together. Did these real facts about Slovakia, its people, culture, and daily life surprise you? Do not forget to share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you in the next country.